Hello guys and welcome to Elin. So, you got yourself isekai'd into this beautiful and fantastical world, right? You think to yourself, what is my purpose in this amazing world? Well, just like in real life, it is only to pay the taxes. Well, you might be a bit worried. Where am I gonna get all this money? But don't worry, I got you covered. The answer for this is farming. It's gonna give you lots of money. You're gonna, well, just be the very rich man you always meant to be. But how do I do this? How does it work? Well, let me explain the entire mechanic to you. So, first of all, as soon as you spawn in the world, you need to just know uh, what basically is the fertility of the land. And in order to do so, you do need two items. First one is a home board, and another one is a resident board. It's arguably a little bit less important at this stage. These two items you can buy from our girl Fiamma here, right? She sells both of them. Initially, you get 10 golden bars, and you can spend two of them for these two items, right? So on the home board, you can check lots of information, but one of the important ones are just the statuses of the land, the taxes, how much time you have until to pay them, and how much money you owe to the government. But most importantly for us today, fertility. So let's delve into this specific thing, right? What does the number even mean? So at the very moment, this entire plot of land, right, has 108 fertility, right? Um, this is the maximum amount we can get on this plot of land without any policies or whatever. This means that we can basically grow 108 berries on this and cultivate them. At the very moment, though, we only have 6 fertility, right? This number, when you start the game, will be very different. If I remember well, it's something along the lines of minus 92 and 90, maximum 98 fertility. So, why is it negative? It is because there is lots of vegetation growing all over the land, and every single plant that's growing is taking a little bit of fertility. Actually, some of you who are a bit more observant may even notice that I have hundreds berries here, so this technically should take 100 fertility, but actually I have these 2 fertility taken somewhere, and this is because I also have fish on this land. I don't know how they got there, but they are taking my fertility, and I will remember this. Anyhow, point being, why is this number important? Because it has to be positive. When it's negative, you can technically plant just all over the land and everything will technically grow. The only problem is that once you try to harvest it, the seeds will crumble, the crops will just turn to dust. You may get a little bit of lucky, you may get like one seed or one crop, whatever, but it's not gonna be optimal. And we here, we are capitalists. We want to make it as efficient as possible. So you better get this number positive, right? So we can practice some proper hardcore farming, all right? So, how to do that? You just go around the map and you deprive it of all sort of life you can see. You just get all those weeds, all those trees, everything. You may leave berries, you may leave a bit of mushrooms, so you can eat them. You may leave crims, whatever you want to cultivate, you can leave that. But all the trees, weeds, flowers, just get rid of them, right? Once that is done, you need some tools, some proper tools in order to get your farming experience ready, right? In order to do so, let me just get a little bit of a close up. You need some crafting stations, right? Initially, thanks to the quick build, you can create a workbench, then you can create a sawmill, a carpenter's table, and finally you get a tinker's table. In here, there will be a quest that asks you to create a shovel and a hoe, and eventually, but also I would advise you to make a sickle. So you arguably only need this 3 in order to do farming. You can make a watering can later on, or even I think it's called endless pot or like a bottomless pot, but more on that later. But you only need this 3, so shovel, hoe, and a sickle, in order to just indulge yourself in farming. So shovel helps you to dig the grass, right? And now this is prepared to be plowed. And once it's plowed, and I'm not gonna make this joke, I think you already know what joke I'm trying to make. Anyway, you can plant a seed in here. But in order to get a seed, you need to destroy a plant that is ready for harvest with a sickle. So if it's a berry, it will not grant you a berry at this moment. If you use sickle, it will only grant you a seed, right? The general idea, for instance, with the berries is that when you harvest a ready berry with a sickle, you can get either 1, 2, or 3 seeds, right? So if you harvest a plot like this, if you are terribly unlucky, you'll only get 25 seeds, so you can basically just create the same plot and wait. But if you are lucky, like I have been a few times before, you can basically get 75 seeds, right, out of just this one plot of land. So everything else you can just harvest with other tools and get berries. So later on you can process them and make some proper money out of it, right? So that's the general idea about farming. So what are those other tools? One of them is a watering can, right? And the watering can works as such that once you plant a seed, it will take some time for it to grow. So in terms of berries, that's 14 days. If you water it, you can water it once a day, it will take 1 day away from this process. So if you water it every day, it will only take 7 days. So there is also a bottomless pot. It's used to move water plots to other places that are digged through. So you can move this water from here all the way to here. Why would you do that? Because there are some crops like rice and wheat that can be planted hydroponically, which means you can put the seeds in the water and they will grow straight out of it. This would help you in such a way that you don't need to water it and it will basically be always watered, right? So that's another mechanic there. Another thing is that there is also a fertilizer. A fertilizer takes about 10% out of the growing process, right? So if you have something like, wheat, for instance, and you put a fertilizer on it, it will just shorten the process for 2 days less. It will take 2 days less, right? But if it's you're trying to grow something like a mushroom, it only takes 1 day for it to grow. So you don't have to water it, you don't have to use the fertilizer on it. It will just, another day, it will be ready for a harvest, right? So there is that. As you can see, we have 100 berries here. But that's just not enough. This will not do. We want, as any healthy capitalist, more. We want to create, just lots of plots of land, lots of berries, so we can have a good profit. How to do that? We need to get this number, max fertility, higher. How do we do it? Well, first, an obvious thing is that you can hire somebody like a farmer. So this guy here, as a work, he does farming, and as a hobby, he's so dedicated to the whole thing, he does gardening. So he adds to soil fertility to overall land, right? I think like Lyotel, for instance, here, I think he will always be a gardener, at least as a hobby and administrator. So you will always have at least one additional soil fertility. This does not change this number by 1, it changes the policy number by 1. So you will always get 1 soil fertility here as soon as you get Lyotel, basically, and you get the farming sign. So I'm not quite sure what's the formula of this increasing this number, but it's not 1-to-1, it's a little bit higher. So basically, as soon as you increase this number will increase a little bit more, right? So how do we do it? Farmers, first of all. Second of all, you can increase the policy itself. There is a book called Plan of Soil, right? The quality of the land soil. Higher quality allows for cultivation of more plants. This book you can buy. Oh fuck! That is not what I wanted to do. God damn. A little bit of misclick on my part. But oh yeah, we can actually load this. Yeah, we are not doing any off, are we? Oh well, we loaded a little bit more, but that doesn't matter. The point is, this book, as I was saying, you can buy it from Mycelia. In there is a castle, and in the very castle there is a guy, I think he's called a scholar, and you can buy lots of books on policies, and one of them is this book. it may not necessarily show up to you. You may use your influence in order to replenish the stock, or you may do a little bit of safe scamming and basically just like load before you enter the area. And thanks to this, you will be able to just change the entire stock of all the sellers, right? And you can buy this book with golden bars. As soon as you do that and you read it, as you can see, this number here instantly increases, right? It's 113 berries we can grow on this overall plot of land. But not only that, you can now invest golden bars in this policy to just increase it even more, right? And that's the policy that will increase the maximum fertility. There is another way, and that is to increase the overall area of the land, right? And in order to increase the overall area, not only you get just more of the actual physical space you can cultivate in, but also you get increased fertility. In order to do so, you need to appoint a maid. A maid in this game is something like a secretary or a governor of the land. And now we appointed Lyatel as our maid. We can ask him to expand the land. It will cost us some golden bars, but once we do that, not only we get this beautiful fireworks, but also we increase the area of the land we can build in, right? It also gave us some additional weeds, but that's not important. The important is that this maximum number increased. And as you can see, the fertility tanked a little bit, and this is because we have those weeds growing here, right? So one weed, one fertility, right? And now we can see that the fertility increased by 1 as soon as we removed it. So that's so first of all, you can hire farmers. Second of all, you can increase the policy itself by buying a book. Third of all, you can increase the overall area of the land. There is also a fourth way, which is somewhat automatic, but once you increase the hearthstone level to level 3, you will be able to unlock additional feet of the land, and that's gonna be, for instance, fertility, and it will increase it quite significantly. And eventually, as we increase those, we can have, let's say, 125 maximum fertility, which will allow me to create additional plot of land just like this, right? And thanks to this, we will have basically more berries. As soon as we hit level 2 of the Hearthstone, we can automate this process, so I don't have to touch it ever again. And it will just like automatically get into the proper container. This is why I basically create a container like this. I unlock it so all the other residents can sort of interact with it, and you can configure this to only accept food, and it could be the only container that will accept food. This means that as soon as the food appears in the base, it will be relocated into this container, right? So basically, as soon as it's harvested automatically, all the residents will move it here. And then after a day or so, it will change into wine. So, another thing. Berries are worth something along the lines of like 6 orens. You can change them almost straight away, or mushrooms. It's even better for the mushrooms, because I believe mushrooms cost only 1 oren. But you can put all the mushrooms in the fertilizer box, and after a day or so, it will turn into a fertilizer. Fertilizer already costs 7 orens. So it's not very important in case of berries, because the difference is just 1. But in terms of a mushroom, the difference is already 6, so that's quite significant, right? But you can do even better. You can make a brewery barrel. And a brewery barrel will change them into, I think it's an ale in regards to mushrooms, and a wine in regards to berries. Ale is worth a little bit less, but berry wine costs around 30 orens. So that's already quite significant. We'll see the difference at some point. How do you get that? Well, you only need to do a second dungeon, unlock our resident Tailsinger, and he will most likely have a recipe for a brewery barrel. I just bought it, so it's not gonna be here. but it's gonna be here and it will cost an actual orange, not golden bars. You have to unlock it and then you can build it on the your actual workbench, right? It costs a tightrope, nails, and a fertilizer. So you do have to build a fertilizer box before. If you do struggle with tightrope or way to find a big leaf, which is part of a recipe, you just need to go to the beach here, and it has on the palms, it has, I think, big leaves. On the cactuses, it has needles that you will also require. And if you dig just normal sand with a shovel, it will provide you sand, and then in addition with clean, you can make glass that will also be important later. So, yeah, the dungeon you need as soon as you get the quest is Naimil, and that's when you can get our resident tail singer who sells those barrels. And that's how we can basically make lots of money with farming very quickly. This is the way that it's not entirely automated, because you technically still need to take all this wine from the barrels and put them in the shipping chest. But, you know, it's still quite a good method to get some passive income. I do it because if you send things through the shipping chest, you still get golden bars on the side. There is a way to make even more money, automate everything entirely, but you will not get the golden bars. And for this, I just need to show you very quickly my other save. And this is my like basic just testing area. So like my very first playthrough. In here you see I have those hydroponic sort of tile where I was growing wheat. But in here we are just growing mushrooms, right? We built quite a lot of those barrels, right? And they're all empty at the very moment. Oh no, not entirely empty, but you can see the mushrooms are basically just growing into ale now, right? But what I have done here is that as soon as this is being harvested, and it's not harvested by me, it's harvested by this policy on level 2 of the policy. You can see it being right here. Delegated farming, it's called. You can basically get it as soon as the hearthstone is level 2. You increase the level of the hearthstone, basically just surviving every single day, but it increases even more substantially as you sort of send things through the shipping chest, right? So you'll get it very quickly, don't worry about it. You elect this policy, and then throughout time, the mushrooms will grow, will be harvested, and will be reseeded again, and all the sort of items will be moved into proper containers. And I marked those barrels to be the containers that will receive food. So how is this process entirely automated? Well, it is automated in the sense that in here we also created a policy called, let me tell you, I should have told you this initially. It's called open for business. This means that we will have some tourists coming over, some visitors coming over. We'll get a little bit of money from them just sleeping here and paying for the beds, but they will be buying lots of things we are selling. And some of those things, well, in this specific case, oh, this lady shouldn't be here, might be alcohol. So in order to sell this alcohol to the residents, you need to middle mouse button this, grab it as furniture, place it, and as soon as it's placed, you need this, in my case, it's bewitched sales tag. God damn. A sales tag, and you just need to right click it. You put a price on this. It's automated price, you cannot really set it too much. And now some of those people can come over and buy this alcohol, right? And they will buy it for this specific price. So basically, as soon as the mushrooms are harvested, they get into the proper containers. This is because there is also a stockpile sign around here, which basically automated all the stockpiles into those barrels that only can receive, as you can see, food, right, which are mushrooms. And then those items that I place here are being restocked by a goods stock sign. So basically means as soon as somebody buys this, it will be replenished from the same type of thing will be replenished here, and they will be able to buy it yet again. So now it's fully automated, but I don't get any golden bars from it. So yeah, that's about it. You can also increase even the amount of money you get from for selling it through a restaurant license. Apologies. A license that increases the prices of tagged food and beverages. There is another one for furniture, and then there is another one for just any other items that are not food, furniture, but just something else. So this is just one good way of doing so. Just so you can sort of see how this works. Let's just make a very quick journey. You see, we received some money here. We are just sending some random items I had in the shipping chest. But now we'll come back to our home. You will see what happened when we were gone. So yeah, we received some taxes, obviously. But as you can see, our shop generated 2,241 orens. And this is basically through the sale of the ale we are selling. And as you can see, the mushrooms are growing, right? And the barrels are being stacked again with the new mushrooms. Well, maybe not necessarily this one, that have been grown, right? And this shop is sort of restocked. This setup with mushrooms is suboptimal. As I told you initially, I was just testing it. I believe the one with berries and the wine is a little bit more efficient. Eventually, you can also do a setup, for instance, with honey and the beehive boxes. What I found is just it's not a nice experience to build those beehive boxes because you need a queen bee, I think. And the only problem about this is just absolutely annoying to farm it, and it's also tied to the fertility of the land in a sense that you need flowers for the bees to be able to cultivate the honey. And then the honey itself is quite expensive, and you can still make alcohol out of it, which is also expensive. But I believe at the very moment that the setup with berries is quite good, because I think mushrooms are taking 2 fertility, and the berry is taking only 1, so I can have 2 berry bushes for just 1 mushroom thing. So even though mushrooms grow faster, berries I still think are a little bit more efficient. And of course the berry wine costs much more than the ale. So yeah, there is also a thing about ranching. I don't think it's the greatest in regards to getting money. I might be terribly wrong. I have never played the previous game, so I think there is just lots of veterans of the game that know much more. I just wish they shared this knowledge with me before I started the game. But yeah, this is what I found out so far. I hope it's helpful to you guys, and yeah, good luck farming.